Do you smell that strange scent? Carl's eyes widen with a mix of shock and hope. As we were still discussing the source of this mysterious scent, Gandalf's voice interrupted us. Everyone, please quiet down. Suddenly, Carl's eyes turned into a soft amber glow, with his pupils dilating and contracting. What does this mean? His mate is near. Chapter 35, Weird Smell. I inhale deeply, my heightened senses picking up only as hen's sweet cinnamon scent. As his mate, his aroma is amplified for me, a unique bond we share. I ponder whether Kyle's mysterious scent could be related to this phenomenon. Reflecting on my friends, I realize I can only detect Blake's deodorant and Shia's coconut shampoo if I concentrate. The intricacies of werewolf olfactory abilities fascinate me, and I make a mental note to ask Ashen about my own natural scent later. Glancing back at our small group, I notice Shir and Blake mimicking my actions, their noses twitching as they sample the air. Even Ashen seems perplexed, his brow furrowed in concentration. What smell? I can only detect our usual scents. I inquire, observing nods of agreement from Shir, Blake, and Ashen. Kyle's eyes widen in disbelief. What do you mean, what smell? It's overwhelmingly strong. How did I not notice it before? He frantically scans our surroundings, his keen senses on high alert. Ever helpful. Shir suggests. Can you describe it for us? Kyle pauses, his nostrils flaring. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Citrusy, he clarifies, still searching for the source. We all take another moment to check for any hint of citrus, but come up empty-handed. The implications of this exclusive scent dawn on me, and I can't help but voice my theory. Perhaps it's related to your mate since we can't detect it. I blurt out, immediately regretting my lack of tact. Kyle's head snaps towards me, his eyes wide with a mix of shock and hope. Before he can respond, a commanding voice echoes through the area. Everyone, please cease this crowding and pushing. Gandalf's authoritative tone cuts through the commotion. I turn to see the pack members surging forward, eager to catch a glimpse of Crystal, our new leader. Gandalf, ever the voice of reason, continues. You'll all have a chance to see her shortly. Please, calm yourselves and step back. Gradually, the crowd begins to disperse, creating a respectful distance around Crystal and the council members. Suddenly, Kyle's attention shifts sharply towards the group, his body tensing. It's intensifying. He murmurs, his gaze fixed on the gathering. Before we can probe further about this elusive scent, Gandalf's voice booms out again, summoning everyone for an announcement. As we make our way towards the assembling pack, I steal a glance at Kyle. His eyes have taken on a soft amber glow, pupils dilating and contracting in an almost hypnotic rhythm. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place, and I can't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation for what's to come. His wolf was trying to take over, which could only mean one thing. His mate was near. Hope soared in my chest and I grow excited for Kyle, and I help my brain from wondering about who she was and about their future. In conclusion, I was already planning their wedding. The color are going to be sky blue and cream-mint. Oh, and it can be on the beach and everything. The bridesmaid dresses can be matching the sky BL. Attention everyone. Sierra calls out to everyone gathering around, cutting off my wandering thoughts and future planning. I hear a low growl coming to my left where Kyle was standing, before he quickly mutters a few words which even my ears couldn't pick up. I look back towards where the council and Crystal were standing, to find Sierra motioning Crystal to come forwards. I would like to call forward and welcome the new Luna of the Moon Poppack. However, before she could finish introducing Crystal, a very rude pack member decides to interrupt. Who is this slut that's taking over my position? A very screechy voice raised to everyone's sensitive ears, causing many of us to cringe. Everyone already knew who it was due to her annoying voice. Chloe Hemmings, the stuck-up queen bee. She stomps over towards where the council members were gathered. I don't think she quite knows what's going on as she was missing from the earlier drama. And when I think about it, Sam was also missing. I hear some shouts and protest coming from behind her as I realize someone is pushing through the crowd. Once they finally get to the front of the crowd, everyone suddenly goes silent. A few people letting out large gasps. I demand you tell us what is going on here. Sam yells out to the council as he storms over to them with Chloe by his side. Anger is written all over his face, and I just managed to catch a glimpse of his crossed-out pack mark. This signified that he was banished from the pack and is now a rogue. However, I noticed his clothes were still intact. I guess they couldn't really banish her, as it was her decision to reject Crystal. Everyone in the crowd tries to stay as quiet as they could to hear what the council would say to Sam. But if I couldn't catch what they were saying, then no one else could. However, everything that happened next spanned over the time of a few seconds. Once Sam locked eyes with Crystal, all hell broke loose, and in that time I managed to realize Kyle is missing. Sam goes to lunge for Crystal, and all of a sudden a loud, powerful roar breaks the silence of the crowd. Chapter 36. Calm down, woman. Everyone, excluding all the council members, freeze up due to how powerful the roar was. This voice held almost as much power as an alpha's did, and I could recognize the voice anywhere. I heard it every day of my life for the past 17 years. All eyes are drawn to where Kyle is standing, and in seconds he had managed to get from beside me to holding Sam by the collar of his shirt. No, it can't be possible. Kyle couldn't be. Crystal reacts to the sudden move and tears of both Sam and Kyle and stumbles backwards in shock. However, when she looks up, I could recognize that face anywhere, the look of disbelief and love. The look of when you see your mate for the first time. So it all worked out. I was a bit worried leaving you alone. A familiar voice fills my head, distracting me from what was occurring. Celestial. I screech at her through our link, most likely deafening her. Calm down, woman. I'm back. Sorry I didn't get to say anything before I took off, but I was watching you and you did well without me. Although I'm a bit hurt you didn't notice I was there until Ash pointed it out. She starts chatting as if everything was normal. I need to talk to you. However, now is not the time for it, I quickly say before tuning back into what was happening. Carl let go of Sam's collar and bends down to where Crystal had stumbled. Sam stays frozen in the same place. Shocked, Chloe, who is standing behind him, decides to peek around him to witness what the drama is over. And anger is quick to be clearly written on her face. I quickly wriggle my way through the crowd to get to where they were standing, Sure and Dashin following me as well. Suddenly, Chloe's irritating high-pitched squeal sounds through the air, deafening everyone. Everyone, including the council members, move away from the sound, giving me a straight path towards Kyle and Crystal. You slut! Chloe screams at Crystal, who is covering her ears from the high pitch. First, you tried to seduce my boyfriend. Second, you tried to take my pack off of me. Now you want to steal my mate. Wait, what? How is Kyle Chloe's mate? I thought it was Crystal. Kyle lets out a loud sigh. Chloe, you can't call me your mate when you rejected me first. Everyone that was listening lets out a large gasp. That little monster. How dare she reject my brother? I start to take angry stomps towards her, preparing to give her a piece of my mind. However, Kyle decides to continue. Chloe, once you rejected me, our bond broke, meaning if I find someone else with a broken bond, I have the chance of getting a second chance mate, and it seems that this has happened. He gazed down to where Crystal was sitting on the ground, shocked, and smiles at her. Almost having reached, then I stop in my tracks. This is all too confusing. So since Kyle was rejected by Chloe and Crystal was rejected by Sam, the bonds broke between them and developed new ones with each other. So Crystal is Kyle's mate. I'll just go with that. Well, this was not planned. Maddox, or could Gandalf, mutters loud enough for us to pick up on. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. May I ask who you two are? Referring to Sam and Chloe, who had barged in on Crystal's ceremony. I am the future Luna of the pack, and this is my new mate. And my boyfriend, the Alpha Son, Chloe says proudly, directly throwing a verbal punch towards Kyle and Crystal by saying boyfriend and new mate. So who are you to demand who we are when you are on our land with these traitors? I mentally give myself a facepalm at close disrespect towards the head of the council. Clearly she doesn't know who the council is, which every werewolf is taught to remember. I am Maddox, head of the Council of Werewolves, and standing behind me is the rest of the council members. All color drains out of Chloe's face after hearing these words, and I ask that you respect us and our orders or we will have you removed off this land. After talking to Chloe, Maddox turns towards Sam and leads him away to discuss his family's banishment, of which I couldn't overhear, although I could figure out what they were basically saying by Sam's facial expressions. Anger fills his face as he tries to verbally lash out at Maddox, and once he realizes that it's not working, it looks as though he is trying to defend himself. After a quick shake of the head and Sam's disheartened face, Maddox starts to walk over to where Crystal, Kyle and I were standing. May I ask one of you to direct me towards where the cells are kept? Underneath our pack house. We are jail cells made of silver to keep any rogues that crossed our borders in. I look towards Kyle and Crystal, but I realize that they would probably have to introduce themselves and get to know one another first. So I volunteer. Yay, I can show where they are. But may I ask where you need to go there? We are going to keep the old Alpha's son and his girlfriend down there until I can have someone escort them out of the borders. Chapter 37, Picking the New Beta. The dank smell of the whetstone slabs grew stronger as we climbed down the staircase to the cells. This was the first time I was ever allowed to go down past the spiraling stairs. Only the Alpha and Beta were allowed down here unless you were asked by them to go down, even though the house had running electricity and a modern-day atmosphere. As soon as you step into the stairs, it's as though you've gone back 5 years. Stone slab bricks line the inside of the stairs. The cracked stones were laid on top of each other, caked with moss through the Moses straw and humidity within the staircase. To get to the bottom, I have to carry a flame lit stick to light up the medieval-looking torches hanging on the side of the stairs. It was as though everything around the cells evolved with technology but decided the cells should stay the same. Once I reached the bottom, I quickly extinguished the flames with the bucket of old water sitting by the unused guard's chair. Maddox thanks me as he guides both Sam and Chloe into one of the holding cells. Chloe would not stop complaining the whole time coming down the stairs, and it seemed to have pissed off Sam, who was currently arguing with her about whose fault it was. Before leaving, Maddox wishes to see me after about the matter. I rushed back upstairs with Maddox's approval, so he could have a talk with him, only to find that Sierra had finished introducing Crystal to everyone as the new Luna. Wait, if Crystal is the Luna, does that make Kyle the Alpha? Then what does that make me? Hell yeah. I'm the Alpha sister. Attention everyone. It has now come time for Alpha Kyle and Luna Crystal to announce who they want as the candidates for the beta position. Once the candidates are nominated, they will be assigned to one-on-one matches. The nominees must have a mate to accompany them, so that both the Alpha and Luna will have support later on. The match will be 2-on-2 until a winner remains. Alpha and Luna, please pick members that you trust with your life and that will respect your authority. That's all. I'll leave the selection to the Alpha and Luna. With all that said, Sierra steps away and returns to where all the council members were standing. I notice Kyle and Crystal talking between each other. My guess, they are probably discussing who they want as beta. As law, the old beta is allowed the chance to reapply for the beta role and is always given a spot within the competition. Most likely he will become beta again, although it was one-on-one matches last time, since neither Kyle and Crystal grew up with training by the Alpha or Luna. The council wants a beta and their mate, so Bothie and Luna has someone to help them. I make my way over to where Ashen, Sher and Blake were standing, to find them discussing who would become beta. My guess is on the old beta. HES already gone through a beta testing before, and he also had to deal with Alpha James, so HES got experience. Sher explains to both Blake and Ashen, but you never know. Someone else who was picked last time could easily overpower him. Blake decides to put his viewpoint out there as well. They both look towards Ashen to see which side he was on. However, Ashen was just looking off into the distance, not paying attention, seemingly bored. I chuckle, making my presence known to them. Ashen looks over and his eyes light up. He slowly shuffles closer to where I am standing. However, doesn't come close enough to burst his comfort bubble. The thought counts though. To a agent extraordinaire, Mademoiselle Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Who do you think is going to become Beta? Beta Michael or someone new? She immediately drags me into the conversation. She gives me a look that's telling me I need to side with her. I know what chess playing it and am not falling for it. Who knows? Anything could happen. I tend to never pick sides. I always decide to just sit on the fence with my bowl of popcorn and watch all the drama fold out. Has he? She's saying that someone new could come along. Blake starting the argument first. Bad idea. You dumbass. She clearly means that Beta Michael is going to stay in charge. Surefires back. Aha, how perfect they are for each other. She always wanted someone to argue with. As the two lovebirds carry on like newlyweds, I notice Kyle and Crystal stepping forwards to talk. Attention everyone. Cher and Blake's argument dies down as they tune in to what Kyle and Crystal have to say. Now if that's how you stop an argument. We have decided on 6 pairs. If your name is called, please come forwards and wait for the match order to be decided. First pairs Beta Michael as mate Winfrey. Second pair is Warrior Neil and his mate Amber. Both Michael and Neil step forward with their mates. Neil is one of the stronger warriors our pack has. Whoever else was seeing these guys will have a tough time. Cole stops stalking and Crystal starts instead. She lists out other pairs of older members that were loyal to training the pack or helping the alpha. Then Kyle announced the last 2 pairs. The 5th pair is Omega Ryder and his mate Katie. One of Kyle's best friends, Ryder, and his mate step forward nervously and stand alongside the older members. So far they were the only younger pair out of the group. And last but not least, my sister Avery and her mate Ashen. Wait, did I hear that correctly? Chapter 38, Xia's Evil Scheme. All heads turned to stare at me. Some were shocked and others just waiting for me to move to where the other candidates were. I look over towards Ashen. If the pack didn't know by now that I had found my mate, they do now. Whispers start to accumulate throughout the pack as we make our way to stand next to Ryder and his mate Katie. Glad to know I'm not the only one who doesn't stand a chance. Ryder whispers quietly to me. Ashen lets out a low growl, warning Ryder to stay quiet. However, it didn't bother me. I've known Ryder ever since we were toddlers. I didn't get along brilliantly with him. However, Kyle did. They became best friends, and he is still the closest friend Kyle has and trusts. Although he was wrong, he could almost go against one of the pack warriors without a worry in the world and beat them easily. Unlike most fighters, he thought out a tactic before rushing in. He studies his opponent carefully and then comes up with a perfect plan. Ryder was also more humble than any other strong werewolf I know. He had a good chance to become the Beta, and the others knew it. The other 4 pairs sneak quick side glances at him, and compared to his relaxed figure, those are the complete opposite. Tension and determination rise of their bodies like steam. Their eyes skin over to me over time, and that uneasiness seems to disappear. They thought I was weak. How wrong they were. I originally was planning on taking this seriously. However, I think I might just show them just how strong I am. In today's time we will hold the first fights, so the pairs are allowed to start preparing. Both mates are required to fight in these battles as we are both new to becoming leaders, and due to the rules we need a Beta and a nut to help the pack whilst we learn. And until a Beta and Beta female are picked, the Council of Werewolves have decided to stay with us for the time being to help stabilize the pack. The 6 pairs are allowed to access the pack's training hall as well as the gym equipment within the pack house. The rest of the pack are allowed to continue like normal. You are all allowed to disperse now. With that, Kyle finishes his little speech and heads back over towards the council members along with Crystal by his side. That was the most mature I've ever heard him talk in my whole life. And to say I was shocked was an understatement. The pack slowly start to disperse and head back to their houses or rooms within the pack house. Some stick around to introduce themselves to the new Alpha and Luna, probably making sure they make a good impression. I glance over towards the other pairs that were nominated to be the Betas. two of which had headed off and the others were quietly discussing information between them. However, I couldn't help but notice Warrior Neil and his mate Ember bickering over their plans. They didn't seem to be agreeing with each other. After watching them bicker for a bit longer, trying to ease drop on their conversation, a quick motion which I catch out of the corner of my eye draws me away. I notice Ashen shifting nervously from side to side. Next to me. That's when I remember what position I was in. In today's time, I am to fight with at least 2 other pairs for the beta position. The 2 pairs I have to look out for are Ryder and his mate Katie, as well as the old beta Michael and his mate Winfrey. However, before I could start making up a plan, a loud voice interrupts my thoughts. Oh my goodness, Avery. You could become the next beta female. I look in the direction the voice came from and indeed, there was she running well. It was more like floundering over with Blake casually walking behind her a safe distance. As soon as she arrives to where we were DT-ing, she grabs my arms and starts to jump around squealing. Both Ashen and Blake were giving her weird looks as she throws her little rejoicing ceremony. After a while of chatting, mainly Cher trying to convince me of her evil scheme that would give me a sure win, Kyle and Crystal finish up conversing with the council members and come over to join our conversation. Why won't you do it? Cher whines. All you got to do is put itching power in their beds the night before the fights. How simple could it get? Then none of them could fight properly. First off, it's meant to be the strongest that will help the Alpha and Luna, not the person with bad sportsmanship. What good would that do? I retaliate back at her. Why did you even nominate me as a candidate? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It wasn't actually me that nominated you. It was Crystal, he explains with a shrug of his shoulders. You wouldn't even be able to pass the first fight, let alone win, he adds with a hint of cheekiness in his voice, as if challenging me to actually win, in which I couldn't help but take that challenge. You know what? I will actually try, just to prove you wrong. You watch. I'm going to win and become second in charge. A wide grin spreads across Kyle's face, as if gloating. I'll hold you to that bet. Chapter 39, but days went by fast. Both Ash and I trained together each day, in one of the pack's gyms. I could tell that Ashen was still on edge and hadn't gotten used to living in a pack just yet. Hopefully, he can adjust soon, because if this all goes to plan, he might become beta soon. He had no issue with becoming beta as long as everyone can accept him. I'm just a bit worried that since he was a rogue, some members might look down upon him. We make our way to the food hall, which is where Kyle and Crystal gathered everyone to announce the fight matches. Now that Kyle is the Alpha, he moved out of our house and is now staying at the pack house. She has been holed up in the Alpha study for the past 2 days, along with Crystal. The council agreed to train them both to become good leaders as long as they study up on the Alpha and Luna's roles. Once Mum heard the news, she was utterly shocked. She ended up taking some time off work to stay home and help Kyle move all his stuff over to the Alpha suite. She also starting spending more time at home as well as with me. She would help me make small protein meals to take with us to have after our training. It was then that she discovered I had found my mate and immediately requested to meet him. However, I still haven't introduced them yet, with the excuse that Ashen still hasn't fully settled in yet. As soon as we open the hall's doors, all eyes are drawn to us, watching as we make our way to the front where all the other candidates were seated. Waves of tension fill the room and I look around to every owner's serious and determined faces. A sense of nervousness creeps up on me and suddenly I couldn't keep still. I bounce my legs up and down and fiddle with my fingers trying to calm the urge to get up and run out. Suddenly something warm comes into contact with my hands and stops them from fiddling. I look down to find his hand placed over mine. Calm down. It'll be all right. We've been training together for the last 2 days and have come to know each other's weaknesses and strength. We also know how to cover for each other in battle. We're as ready as we can be right now. He reassures me, giving my hand a light squeeze. During our time training together, Ashen grew comfortable with being in contact and close to me. The closer we become with each other, the stronger our mate bond grows and the more I start to gain feelings towards him. I feel the heat rush to my cheeks due to the slight contact we share, and I quickly use my hair as a curtain to shield face before he realizes I'm blushing. Thanks, Ash. It just feels as though the latest 2 days went by so fast, and I keep realizing who we are up against. At first I was too nervous to call him by a nickname, but after he realized that I gave mostly everyone a nickname, he wanted me to call him at least Ash. It's all good, Ver. I thinks everyone here is nervous, not just us. He responds as he indicates to the other pairs. After calling him Ash for a while, he decided to take the middle of my name and call me that Ver. He said that Harvey was what everyone called me and that he should have his own one since I'm his mate. So Ver came about. But he was right. I look over to the other curs and all of them were either pacing around or sitting down focusing on one spot. The whole hall seems to be drastically quiet, more than normal. Suddenly, the creaking of the door is heard, and everyone turns around to see whose was. Everyone goes silent as Kylo and Crystal make their way to the front of the room with several council members following behind them. As soon as they get to them front, the council members take a seat, whilst Kyle and Crystal remain standing at the front. Hello everyone. Crystal starts nervously. I would like to thank everyone that could gather here, and I would like to start by asking the candidates for Beta and Beta Female to step forwards and stand to the side as we announce the lineup for the matches. As nervous as Crystal was, she still managed to come across as formal and polite as she addressed a large group. She had told me before she didn't know how to address everyone as Luna, as she didn't want to sound too stuck up or posh. But it seems to me that she had managed to pick the right words to say. Within our pack, the Alpha and Luna are treated as though they are king and queen and are expected to talk in a formal way to those in a lower status. Everyone, including Ashen and I, make our way to the side, near where Kai and Crystal were standing. They'll start by announcing the first match. All matches are to be picked at random, so there is no unfanning beforehand. Carl states before receiving a black top hat from one of the council members. We will draw out names from the hat, as cliched as it sounds, and the two pairs will be required to fight against each other under certain rules. The first pair is. Crystal reaches into the bag and pulls out a slip of white paper. Warrior Neil and his mate Amber, and they will be going up against. Another slip of white paper is taken. Please don't be me. Please don't be me. I would prefer it if I didn't have to go up against the two strongest pairs in the first rounds. Neil and Michael. You'll just give me more time to come up with a plan than going head-on with them straight away. Omega Ryder and his mate Katie. Claps emerge from the crowd as the two pairs step forwards. Ryder will be having a hard time against Neil. Unless Ryder can somehow outwit him, Neil will be able to crush him easily. Next we will announce the next match. First pair we have is Beta Michael and his mate Winfrey, and they will be versing. Please don't be me. Please don't be me. I watch in slow motion as Crystal takes out a slip of paper and takes a breath before announcing the names. Chapter 40. I heard that Omega Ashen and his mate Avery. Crap. Of course we would be facing the old Beta in the starting round. Otherwise it would be too easy. Fate must hate me. Ashen rises from his seat, reminding me to step up and join the other pairs on stage. The remaining two pairs are automatically matched together and both join us up on the stage. Applause and urges and echoes around the hall, making it seem as though there are more people. In 10 minutes, we request that all 6 pairs meet in the training field and we will begin the fight after you arrive. If one pair doesn't show up after 5 minutes, they will be disqualified and the other pair will automatically win. And from there we will announce the next match's time. Kyle explains. Archie is starting to sound like a real leader. Once Kyle finished speaking, Crystal steps forward and explains the rules. I will quickly confirm the rules of the fight and then you are all allowed to go. Firstly, no weapons are allowed, should be easy to understand. Secondly, the fights are to be serious and fair. No blackmailing, playing around with the opponent, or leaving the boundaries of the match. If anyone breaks these first 2 rules, their team is disqualified. To win, you need to either knock the opponent out, or the opponents surrender or are disqualified. If the match is considered dangerous or harmful to continue, the match will be stopped immediately and will be either postponed or a winner will be announced on the spot. With that, you are dismissed and are allowed to do wish until the designated time. As soon as Crystal finishes, a low chatter fills the hall and several people disperse and leave. Both Ash and I decide it would be best to leave and come up with an appropriate plan to win against Michael. Wait, we're going up against Michael? Only just realized. Ash asks, as he probably notices my shocked expression. We're doomed. Ash starts leading me towards the exit. However, before we could leave, I notice several pairs of eyes watching us as we make our way to the exit. The chatter grows louder as more people and I couldn't help but overhear some conversations. Who even are those two? I've never seen them before. I heard she slept with the new Alpha to gain a spot. But didn't the Alpha announce her as his sister when calling out the names? She's looking over here. Did she hear us? These comments were the least of my worries. 'Cause first off, they're very far-fetched from ours and are disgusting and nowhere near true. The ones that caught my attention were the ones about Ashen. The Alpha's allowing a rogue into the pack. I don't care if he is someone's mate. Is dangerous. I wouldn't trust him as our beta. No matter how much the Alpha trusts him, I will never accept him as one. Kids, stay away from that man. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You must not go near him or talk to him. He is a bad man. All these comments swarm around the hall as they seem to get louder. I feel his hands grip on me tighten slightly as he quickens his pace to the door. I feel anger bubbling up from inside of me, as well as from Celestial. Kill them all. How dare they speak about him that way? Celestial roars inside of my head. I sense part of her conscience force its way through mine. However, I try to keep it from exploding. It's as though my presence is being pushed out of my head. A loud growl fills the hall, and everything becomes deadly quiet. Every eye is drawn to me, looking as though they are a deer caught in headlights. How dare you say things which you have no understanding about? Before you judge, maybe you should consider the situation first. My mouth screams out with no control. They really did piss Celestial off, to the point where I can't control my body at all, which means that she has full control. Ashen holds my arm tightly to prevent me, or Celestial, from attacking. Celestial, you have to calm down. Yes, please. Although he looks calm, through the mate bond I can sense his sadness and loneliness. He must be able to tell Celestial's in control via my glowing eyes. When the wolf side is in control of your human form, your eyes emit a glow, the same color as your wolf's eyes, indicating that they are in full control. It's all right. I don't care what they think about me. They're not the ones that are important to me. Just let Avery back in control. Please. She mutters quietly. There was something in as Hen's voice that made Celestial back down. Normally she would argue back, no matter if he was our mate or not. I feel Celestial's presence retreating back into my conscience and my own being brought forwards. I blink my eyes a couple of times to check I have control of my body. I feel in control. However, I still feel remnants of Celestial's anger and love. I let a small snarl as a warning to everyone, before Ashen snaps at me again. Stop that, Avery, he says before continuing to lead me outside. Once we are outside the door, I quickly poke my head back inside and let out one more low growl. I heard that. Chapter 41, Nerves. As soon as we arrive at the training field, a crowd was already forming. Tension and anxiety radiates off not just the candidates but also off of the pack members as well. Everyone is nervously waiting for the matches to start, so they can relax, without having to worry about the leadership of the pack. Having only one position in a pack is dangerous. That's why most packs have a second, or even third, in command, the beta, and gamma. For instance, if the alpha had to go away, the pack is left unattended and another can attack. They are also there to help the alpha make rational decisions that help the pack. That's why most people in our pack are stressing over the decision of who the beta is going to be. We make our way to the front where some of the candidates were waiting, as well as Kyle and Crystal and some members of the council. I sense people's eyes following us, watching our every move and whispers starting up again. As we pass, I feel Celestial about to snap again when suddenly an familiar voice screams out loudly, "Woo-oh-oh. Go Avery. Go Ash. You got the CCSS." Cher screams out, embarrassing both of us. I glance over to where her voice came from, and notice Blake looking rather embarrassed as well. "What can't I support my friend?" She yells again at all the people staring at her, as well as challenging them all to a staring contest. Before Blake goes to shut her up, Celestial's anger slowly simmers down, and eventually she calms down. You'll have to thank Cher later. We finally make it to the front with no more commotions to find only the starting to pairs. Ryder and his mate, as well as Neil and his mate, were both ready and waiting. Slowly and surely, the other pairs start to turn up and wait at the front of the crowd with us. I noticed the competitive looks the other pairs were giving us as well as the others. Everyone was serious. The time is now 3:14 and the first match is required to take place in a minute. I would like to reaffirm the rules once more before we begin for those who weren't at the meeting. Cole states, bringing everyone's attention to him. However, I managed to catch slight shuffling and pacing in the corner of my eye. Realizing it was Ryder's mate, I watched her curiously to figure out what she was doing. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I think her name was around my age. Must have been a year or two older as she was in my year at school. However, I have seen her around. She seems to be dripping with nervousness and worry. Next thing I know, I'm standing right next to her with my hand resting on her shoulder. She looks at me slightly shocked at first, and then her nervousness takes over again. "Can I help you?" she asks politely, still fidgeting slightly as if she cowed and stays too low. "No, sorry. I just cowed and helped myself." All the shuffling and fidgeting was getting me nervous as well. Just making sure I didn't faint from nerves, I chuckled slightly, hoping it didn't sound too harsh, as I was just trying to ease her nerves. I was never good at comforting people. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," she quickly says as she starts to apologize profusely. "Told you I was cut out for this." I quickly stop her from apologizing anymore. "Sorry. I didn't mean it seriously. I was already nervous to begin with anyway. I was just trying to get you to crack a smile," I say, smiling widely at her, explaining what I meant. She looks at me surprised and then offers me a grin. "You know, you're the first one out of all the candidates to have talked to me since the announcement. I've greeted a few of them already, but they all ignored me. I'm glad there's at least someone nice within them. I hope either of us will win," she explains, offering another lovely smile before thanking me and heading back over towards Ryder. I just think my nerves just got me a new friend. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Part of what she said was true. Out of all the candidates, she was the first one that said anything to me. I was quite similar to her. I said hello to a few of the candidates as they walked past or nodded my head acknowledging their presence, but they all completely ignored both Ashen and I. Soon after our conversation, Cole finishes explaining everything again, however adding another rule at the end. A few have asked me this, so I've decided to add another rule. You are allowed to fight in either wolf or human form. It's all up to you. Now can I get Neil and Amber as well as Ryder and Katie into the fighting area? Kai had marked out the area of the fight earlier and also marked out a safe distance from which the audience can watch from. Both pairs step over the boundary and make their way to either ends. I notice Katie giving a small wave and a quick peace sign, along with a massive grin on her face. Seems that her nerves have cooled down a bit. Now if only I could get rid of mine too. Chapter 42, The Outcome. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. set both players lower into a defensive position. I watched Katie as she bounces on the balls of her feet in anticipation. I could tell that she would be fast and quick on her feet. She stood at 5'5" and is skinny as a stick. Her eyes dart around, capturing every detail of Neil's mate Amber. My guess is their strategy is the girls will fight each other and leave the guys to each other. Go! Carl jumps out of the arena area, drawing every owner's eyes, giving Katie enough time to disappear from every owner's sight. I watch her with my enhanced sight as she shifts quickly to her wolf form. Even in my white wolf state, she would be able to give me a run for my money in a race. She was that fast. She plummets towards Amber before she had the time to realize what's going on to shift. Katie's wolf was on the smaller side, probably giving her more speed. However, it highly resembled her human side. Her blonde coat reflected her short blonde hair as she flew through the wind, catching the light, and her bright blue eyes were hard to catch as she sped towards her target. Eyes locked on. Amber only just manages to shift into her brown wolf form in time before engaging Katie in combat. Whilst they were fighting, Neil and Ryder were circling each other cautiously. The only chance Ryder had to win this fight was to either outwit him or manage to defend himself until Katie would be able to help. Then Neil would be outnumbered and both Ryder and Katie would have more options to attack. Ryder refusing to attack first causes Neil to edge closer, aiming for an attack. Giving up on defending, Ryder was once a part of the fighters of the pack until he dropped out to focus on school, and he has watched Neil train everyone. I know for a fact that Ryder is very observant and would have picked up a few of his bad habits when it comes to fighting. On that day when I went venturing through the woods to get to the pack house and ran into the guard, Ryder was the one who realized my eyes had changed color when Kyle had his friends over. Neil suddenly rushes forward and throws a jab at Ryder. However, as if anticipating it, he slips past it easily. He instinctively follows up with a jab of his own towards Neil's midsection. Unfortunately, he manages to block it with a parry, creating another opportunity to throw another punch at Ryder. However, before he can, Ryder jumps backwards, creating more distance between them, and they start to circle each other again. I glance back at the fight between the she-wolves and notice Katie has yet to be touched. She's darting around Amber, barging her from behind and scratching her pelt. She occasionally is able to get under Amber and throw her body into the air or the ground if she lowers her guard at all. Amber is too slow to be able to counter Katie's quick attack as she throws Amber around the field. She's basically wearing down Amber's stamina and energy slowly but surely. At this stage, Amber won't last too much longer, as you can tell by her quick breaths and panting. Even though Neil was known to be the leader of the warriors of our pack, she's never gotten into a fight before. However, we were all taught at a young to protect ourselves, and some were just more exceptional. My eyes are drawn back once more to Ryder and notice the two exchanging a few words before Neil launches in for another attack. He quickly throws a left hook. However, it turns quickly into a fake before he throws a right cross. Not falling for the fake, Ryder quickly blocks with his own parry and encounters with a combo of attack. He throws a double jab, which Neil only manages to block one as the other nicks the side of his face. Ryder then goes in with a straight cross, hitting his chest hard enough that it wins Neil. Loud cheering is heard from the other side of the area, as we watch Katie toss a tired Amber out of the boundaries. Neil dismisses all the commotion and continues to concentrate on the fight in front of him. A blur of blonde fur dashes around them, throwing off Neil's concentration, giving Ryder the perfect opportunity to throw another punch. He manages to land a left hook to Neil's body before he could throw a block up, then successfully throws an uppercut past Neil's arms, throwing his head up from the impact. Neil falls over backwards, landing on the grass hard, without any motion coming from Neil. Cole quickly jumps back onto the field and starts to count. The crowd along with him. 1.2 and still no movement from Neil as Kyle and Katie watch in anticipation. 3. Ryder and Katie look at each other, happiness and relief written all over their faces as they engulf. Many members watch in shock as a few other warriors come to collect Neil's unconscious body as well as Amber's ex-gas dead one. Katie's eyes connect to mine as she looks around. She quickly rushes over, dragging Ryder along. "Congratulations," I exclaim happily to them. "Thank you so much, Avery. It's because you calmed my nerves earlier that I didn't panic." Katie rushes her words out excitedly. I glance towards Ryder, as he remained calm and collected, as if he knew the outcome. "Not to offend you or anything, but how did you manage to win against Neil in a fist fight? It seemed as though to me you knew all his moves already," I asked curiously, hoping he would pass on some wisdom to me and dash in for our fight. "Well, I've fought with him for years." Ryder shrugs nonchalantly, as if it was no big deal. "I know all of his habits from watching him. If you can pick up the smallest thing, you can sometimes either find a weakness or manage to figure out what move they will throw. Anyways, good luck with your fight." With that reminder, I was doomed. After a short break, we will have Beta Michael and his mate Winfrey and Omega Ashen and his mate Avery come up to begin their match. Chapter 43, Friendship Fight. Whilst chatting to Katie, before we have to fight, I hear a loud gasp coming from behind me. Katie's face quickly turns into a confused one. I turn around, to find Cher standing there with a shocked expression, dragging Blake behind her. "Now you've betrayed our friendship twice," she exclaims as if shocked and hurt. Katie looks flustered and is looking between the two of us. "First it was Crystal. Now you've become best friends with another. I must not be that important." She pretends to wipe a few non-existent tears away. Katie becomes more and more flustered and nervous as she looks between the two of us, waiting for a fight to occur. Several other pack members watch curiously, probably wondering what the loud shouts were. I roll my eyes at Cher, also noticing Blake copying the similar action. He must have gotten used to her small outbursts about things that don't matter. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. This is my best friend, Cher. Sure, this is Katie, Ryder's mate. I quickly introduce them before Cher can cause any more unnecessary drama and make Katie more uncomfortable. But it seems that Cher still wants to keep acting. I think she has this idea of pretending to act crazy in front of people, so only people with similar personalities would stick around or join in with her crazy antics. "Oh H, so now you call me your best friend," she exclaims loudly with a shocked tone towards me, before quickly turning towards Katie and saying politely, "Nice to meet you, but you can probably just call me crazy." Katie, finally understanding it was a serious fight, chuckles slightly before answering Cher. "Nice to meet you, crazy. I go by insane." Katie holds out her hand towards Cher. Suddenly, Cher's whole face lights up with excitement. She gives Katie a small shake before rushing towards me. She grabs my two hands and starts to jump up and down. Oh, I like her. Arvake, can we keep her? Pretty please." This makes all of us crack up laughing before she gives us a look as if she did nothing wrong. "Sure. She's not an animal, we can." "Well, technically she is an animal. But what I mean is that she's not a pet that we can keep, and it's up to her if she wants to stay around to deal with your crazy antics." Cher throws me another look, pretending to be offended while she places a hand over her heart. "Can I get the next two players to step into the fighting area?" Kyle calls out, reminding me of where I am and what's going on, making my heart race faster. Thanks to Cher and Katie, my nerves seem to have had disappeared earlier, making this a little easier. Cher and Katie urge me forwards into the area along with Ashen. As we walk towards the middle, I hear Katie's and Cher's loud screams and cheers. Those two really do match each other. As we finally arrive in the middle, we are greeted with Michael and Winfrey's stern faces. I've never liked Winfrey much. She came here from another pack that was much richer, and when Michael was beta, she made sure everyone knew. She acted like she was better in every sense. Most of our pack hated her. However, since she was friends with the old alpha and mates with the beta, we couldn't do one thing wrong or speak against her. She's had many families kicked out of the pack because someone didn't bow down to her. When I was younger, I used to have two other friends, other than Cher, that weren't wins. Their family was one of the first ones that had gotten kicked out. However, since the girls were so young, he sold them off to another pack as slaves. I just hope it was a good pack, and one day I'll see them again or be able to help them. That's how rotten she is. Seeing her standing here confidently makes me wonder if she even knows how to fight. We all know you guys aren't going to win, but to save the struggle, how about you just forfeit now? Confirming my thoughts, Winfrey decides to start bargaining with us with a sneer on her face. Noticing neither Ashen nor I were taking her up on her offer to give up, she decides to raise the price. I'll give you both 10 just so you don't have to get beaten up. The fact that she was offering us money to back down immediately signals to me that she wasn't actually that confident in winning. This thought causes the side of my lips to smirk upwards. Maybe we did have a chance after all. I glare at Winfrey, causing her to look shocked towards my attitude. Since the alpha is no longer here and Michael isn't beta yet, she has no authority over me. I probably have more over her. Being the alpha sister, I'll take my revenge for the twins. Carl makes his way towards us, probably seeing the evil spark in my eyes as I watch Winfrey like a hawk. This is my opportunity to beat her posh-rit ass. Now, no more talking. Please start on either side, and when I say go, you're allowed to start. Both Ashen and I oblige to Kyle's orders and start to make our way towards our side. However, Winfrey had other plans. Just be ready to lose and get beaten. She responds nastily before walking away with Michael. Ashen guides me towards the edge of the fighting space before I could snap at Winfrey. We had come up with a similar plan to Ryder and Katie's. One-on-one until I can defeat Winfrey, then outnumber Michael at hopefully came down. To where agent extraordinaire, Webnovel. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Set Chapter 44, Flying. Before starting, I notice both Ashen and Carl giving me a sharp look, telling me to behave myself. Oh, they know me so well. I glance over towards Michael and Winfrey and notice them arguing over something. I quickly rush forward similar to Katie did. However, I stay in my human form. It'll take me a few seconds to imagine Kyle's wolf again, so I'd prefer to rush in quickly to get rid of Winfrey first before changing into my wolf. I borrow some of Celestial's power and start to gain speed. However, out of the side of my eyes, I catch fast movement pelting towards me quickly. Everything seems to start moving in slow motion. It was Michael in his wolf form. His wolf was dark grey mixed with lighter grey on the stomach, muscle and paws, but what caught my attention was that he was irregularly large for only a beta. His wolf could even be larger than one of an alphas. Even though being in wolf form is faster, he still manages to catch up to me when borrowing Celestial's powers. Being mid-stride, I am unable to jump out of the way of his attack. However, I quickly mentally brace myself for the impact I know is coming. His head makes contact with my abdomen, and hard, before throwing me into the air horizontally, winding me in the process. The rush of the wind doesn't help as I try to gasp for air. Whilst flying across the field, the force coming from the air pressure won't allow me to intact any oxygen into my lungs. My only hope is to wait until I reach the ground before I can breathe again. As I start to fall to the ground, I notice the boundary for the match getting closer and closer. At this stage you'll land right on it, but the impact from landing is going to make me tumble over it. No, it can't be over this quickly. I close my eyes before hitting the ground. To my agent extraordinaire, Webnovel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I didn't touch the ground. Large arms wrap around me, catching me before I cross over the border. I hear the sound of someone's feet skidding over the loose gravel and rocks as the impact of catching me pushes them backwards. I can hear loud gasps and shouts coming from the audience. Please don't have crossed the line. Please. I open my eyes once again to find Ashen's face very close to mine. However, his face was contorted in pain. The impact of catching me must have hurt like hell. I quickly jump out of his arms so he doesn't have to hold me, when I notice his shoulder looking a bit funny and displaced. He must have dislocated it when he caught me. Then I remember to breathe. I take several large gasps before coughing slightly. Did I stop in time? He manages to say, before falling over grasping his shoulder. I glance at the ground, noticing the skid marks from where he initially caught me, several meters away. The dust cloud had formed around us from the dirt you must have kicked up. Yes, you did. Looking at the line that was only a few centimeters away from our feet, my heart aches to comfort him more, but I'm just scared that it'll just give him more pain. I hear him sigh in relief, before trying to stand back up again, however, groaning in pain whenever his shoulder moved slightly. Worry flares within me whenever I hear him groan. No, stop. Just sit back down. I'll call the medic to get you. I quickly mind blink Kyle, telling him to get our pack doctor over here immediately. Once the dust cloud disperses, I notice Kyle running towards us, along with the pack doctor following behind him, his face full of worry, probably because he thought I got hurt. No, I can continue. I can't leave you to battle him by yourself, Ashant says, standing up confidently, as if trying to hide the pain from me. However, I can feel his pain through our mate bond, and every time his shoulder moved slightly, I can sense his pain. It was as if a fire was burning up his arm. Once Kyle and the doctor arrives, they both fire off a series of questions that just merge together, and both Ashen and I could quite catch any of them, as Hens dislocated his shoulder in catching me. Can you take him off the field and attend to his shoulder, please? I can deal with this fight alone, I explained to the medic, as I know both Ashen and Kyle will refuse to allow me to fight by myself. In the rules, if one person is injured or surrenders, then the other person is allowed to continue fighting if they wish. I won't let you face both of them by yourself, Ashant says stubbornly, before the doctor quickly injects him with something. Well, actually, in all that, Winfrey surrendered before walking off, saying she doesn't even want to fight. Carl mutters in a low voice. Ashen passes out, probably due to the liquid the doctor injected in him. Well, that makes it easier, even though I wanted to beat her ass. No, that's not the point. I'm not letting you back in there to fight by yourself against Michael. He was the old beta, HES way stronger than you, Kyle exclaims loudly, as the doctor takes Ashen off the field carefully, making sure not to bump or touch his shoulder. Well, I haven't surrendered yet, so I'm still in the fight whether you like it or not. Now please resume the match before I start fighting you. I need to get my revenge.